I should have known something was wrong when the restaurant had a bouncer. Not a host. A bouncer. With an earpiece. My blind date was 30 minutes late, and I was about to leave when the most terrifying woman I'd ever seen walked straight toward my table. Designer handbag. Chanel suit. Eyes that could cut glass. "You must be Maya," she said, sitting down without asking. "I'm Mrs. Kang. My son is very sorry. He's late because he's currently handling a situation involving guns, territory disputes, and several very angry men." I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" She smiled like she'd just told me he was stuck in traffic. "Don't worry, dear. He'll be here soon. In the meantime, let me tell you about the man you're about to date." That's when I realized. My grandmother had set me up with the Korean Mafia, and his mother was sitting across from me, ordering champagne. If you want to find out how a shy bookstore clerk ended up falling for a crime boss and surviving his terrifying mother, smash that like button and subscribe, because this story gets absolutely wild. Okay, let me back up. My name is Maya Chen. I'm 26 years old, and up until 3 hours ago, my biggest life crisis was deciding whether to alphabetize my bookshelf by author or by color. I work at a small independent bookstore in Seattle. I live alone with my cat Mr. Darcy, and my idea of excitement is finding a first edition at an estate sale. I am not the kind of person who dates criminals. I'm barely the kind of person who dates, period. But my grandmother, my Halmoni, has been on my case for 2 years about finding a husband. Every family dinner, same conversation. "Maya, you're getting old. Your eggs are getting old. Mrs. Park's daughter just got married. Why are you still alone?" So when she called me last week, practically vibrating with excitement about a nice Korean boy, whose mother she met at the senior center, I was too tired to argue. "He's handsome, successful, very respectful," she'd said. "His mother says he works in import-export." Import-export. Right. I should have known that was code for something. But I said yes because I'm a coward who can't disappoint her grandmother, and also because I figured one bad dinner wouldn't kill me. Spoiler alert, it almost did. So there I was Saturday night, wearing the only dress I owned that wasn't covered in cat hair, sitting in this restaurant that was way too fancy for a first date. Everything was marble and mood lighting, and those weird artistic plates that hold 3 bites of food for $60. The host had looked at me like I was lost when I walked in. "I'm meeting someone?" I'd said, hating how it came out like a question. "Reservation under Kang?" His entire demeanor changed. "Ah yes. Miss Chun. Right this way, please." He'd led me past all the normal tables to a private section in the back, separated by rice paper screens. My table overlooked the Seattle waterfront, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city lights reflecting off the water. It was the most romantic thing I'd ever seen. I was immediately suspicious. I sat down, ordered water, checked my phone. No messages. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. The waiter came by. "Would you like to order an appetizer while you wait?" "No, thank you. I'm sure he'll be here soon." He was not here soon. At 15 minutes, I texted my best friend Sarah. "Date is late. This is already a disaster." She replied immediately. "Give him 20 minutes then leave. You deserve better than tardiness." At 20 minutes, I started composing my exit strategy. I'd leave cash for the water, apologize to the waiter, and walk out with my dignity mostly intact. I'd tell my grandmother he never showed up. Simple. At 25 minutes, I noticed the other diners kept glancing at my table, whispering. At 28 minutes, I saw her. Mrs. Kang didn't walk into the restaurant, she arrived. Like royalty. Like a force of nature. She was probably in her late 50s, but she had the kind of ageless elegance that comes from excellent skincare and even better tailoring. Her black hair was pulled into a perfect chignon. Her burgundy Chanel suit probably cost more than my car. 2 men in dark suits flanked her. They weren't touching her, but they moved with her, scanning the room constantly. Bodyguards. My blind date's mother had bodyguards. Every single person in the restaurant watched her cross the room. The staff practically bowed. And she was walking directly toward me. I froze like a deer in headlights. Maya-chan. Her voice was warm honey with an edge of steel. Igriagajes. I'm Songhwa Kang, Jinhyun's mother. She sat down across from me, smoothing her skirt with practiced elegance. The bodyguards positioned themselves nearby, but out of earshot. My son asked me to convey his deepest apologies. He's been unavoidably detained. Oh. I clutched my water glass. It's okay, I can just reschedule. Nonsense. She raised one perfectly manicured hand, and instantly a waiter appeared. We'll have the tasting menu, and bring us the 2015 Domaine de la Romani Conti. The waiter's eyes widened. The Romani Conti, ma'am? I'm aware of the price. Bring it. He scurried away. I sat there, completely out of my depth, while this terrifying woman smiled at me like we were old friends having brunch. So, Mrs. Kang said, studying me with eyes that missed nothing. You work at a bookstore. It wasn't a question. She'd clearly already investigated me. Yes. Henderson's Books. It's a small independent shop in Capitol Hill. What kind of books do you prefer? This was the weirdest blind date of my life, and the actual date wasn't even here yet. Classics mostly. Some contemporary fiction. I like books that make you think about people differently. Something shifted in her expression. Soften maybe. Jinhyun reads constantly. His apartment is more library than home. Drives his security team crazy. They never know if he's in his office or buried in his reading room. His security team? He's a very important man. Very busy. Many responsibilities. She said this like it explained everything. Tell me, Maya. What did your grandmother tell you about my son? I hesitated. Just that he was successful. And respectful. And worked in import-export. Mrs. Kang's lips twitched. Actually twitched. Like she was holding back a laugh. Import-export. I see. Well, that's technically accurate. The wine arrived. The waiter poured it like he was handling liquid gold. Probably because I'd looked up Romani Conti once. This bottle cost more than I made in 3 months. Mrs. Kang raised her glass. To honesty. And new beginnings. We clinked glasses. I took a tiny sip and tried not to think about drinking my rent. My son, Mrs. Kang began, settling back in her chair, is not an easy man. He's brilliant, ruthless when necessary, and carries the weight of many people's livelihoods on his shoulders. He didn't choose this life. It chose him when his father died and left him an empire to run at 23 years old. Empire. She said empire. What kind of empire? I asked, even though part of me didn't want to know. She looked at me for a long moment. The kind that operates in shadows. The kind that keeps order when the law cannot. The kind that your grandmother would be very upset to know about. My stomach dropped. Are you saying your son is? I'm saying, she interrupted smoothly, that Jinhyun is a man of honor who was born into a world most people don't understand. He protects his people. He keeps his word. He never lies. And despite what you might think when you meet him, he has the kindest heart of anyone I know. The first course arrived. Some kind of delicate fish with microgreens. I stared at it, my appetite gone. You look terrified, Mrs. Kang observed, taking a bite of her fish. I'm just processing. Let me tell you a story. She set down her fork. When Jinhyun was 7, he found a stray dog in the alley behind our house. Mangy thing, half-starved, mean as hell. Bit him 3 times while he was trying to feed it. Despite everything, I found myself listening. His father told him to leave it alone. That dog is too broken to save, he said. But Jinhyun went back every day for 2 months. Brought food. Sat quietly. Didn't try to touch. Just present. Patient. She smiled at the memory. Eventually that dog followed him home. Slept at the foot of his bed for 12 years. Most loyal creature you ever saw. His father asked him once why he bothered with something so damaged. You know what my son said? I shook my head. He said, nobody else was going to. Someone had to show him the world wasn't all pain. My chest tightened. That's who Jinhyun is, Maya. The world has made him hard, dangerous even. But underneath, he's still the boy who saved the broken dog. We ate in silence for a moment. The fish was incredible, though I could barely taste it. Why are you telling me this? I finally asked. Because when he walks through that door, You're going to see a man who looks like he could kill you with his bare hands. And you need to know that he could, but he won't. Because my son is a monster only to those who threaten what he protects. And what does he protect? Family. Loyalty. People who can't protect themselves. She paused. And apparently now shy bookstore clerks his mother likes. I nearly choked on my wine. Mrs. Kang. I like you, Maya. You have gentle eyes. The world needs gentle eyes. Especially in Jinhyun's world. She leaned forward. My son has had women throw themselves at him his entire life. Models. Socialites. Women who want his power, his money, his name. Do you know what he does? What? He sends them away. Every single one. Because he's waiting for someone real. Someone who sees him, not what he can provide. The second course arrived. I don't even remember what it was. For the next 20 minutes, Mrs. Kang told me stories. About Jinhyun's childhood, his struggles taking over after his father's death, the impossible choices he'd had to make. She painted a picture of a man I'd never met, but somehow was already starting to understand. She told me about the time he paid for a rival's daughter's cancer treatment, anonymously, even though that same rival had tried to have him killed. About how he personally visited the families of every man who worked for him, made sure they had health care, made sure their kids could go to college. About how he'd once walked into a human trafficking operation and personally freed 17 women, then hunted down every person involved. He doesn't talk about that one, Mrs. Kang said quietly. The nightmares lasted for months. But he'd do it again in a heartbeat. Why are you really here? I asked. You could have just told him to reschedule. She smiled. Because I wanted to meet the girl who made my son nervous enough to ask for advice. Do you know how many times Jinhyun has asked for my advice on women? How many? Once. Tonight. He called me 3 times about what to wear. My son, who negotiates with international crime syndicates without blinking, was worried about making a good first impression on a bookstore clerk. My heart did something complicated in my chest. He doesn't know I'm here, she admitted. He'd be furious if he knew. But I wanted to see you for myself. Wanted to make sure you were worthy of him. And I think you might be exactly what he needs. Someone who'll see the man, not the monster. Someone who won't run when things get complicated. Things are already complicated, I said. I don't even know what your son does, not really. And I'm sitting here drinking $1,000 wine with his mother, while he's apparently handling situations involving guns. Life with Jinhyun will never be simple, Maya. But I can promise you this. He will never lie to you. He will protect you with everything he has. And he will love you with an intensity that most people never experience in their entire lives. You're assuming a lot about a first date that hasn't even happened yet. Her smile was knowing. Am I? The 4th course had just arrived when I felt it. A shift in the restaurant's energy. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Even the waiters paused. Mrs. Kang didn't turn around, but her smile widened. He's here. My heart hammered against my ribs. I looked toward the entrance and saw him. Kang Jinhyun. Even from across the room. He was overwhelming. Tall, maybe 6'2". Broad shoulders in a perfectly tailored black suit. Dark hair styled back from a face that belonged on a movie screen. Sharp jaw. High cheekbones. And eyes that swept the restaurant like a predator assessing threats. Those eyes found me. Found his mother. His expression went from deadly calm to barely controlled fury in half a second. He crossed the restaurant in long strides, his presence parting the crowd like Moses and the Red Sea. 2 more bodyguards materialized from somewhere, following at a discreet distance. When he reached our table, he didn't sit down. He stood there, 6 feet of coiled tension, staring at his mother. Yama. His voice was low, dangerous. What are you doing here? Having dinner with my future daughter-in-law, Mrs. Kang said pleasantly. Sit down, Jinhyun. You're making a scene. I'm making a, he stopped, jaw clenching. Then he looked at me. Really looked at me. And everything changed. His expression softened. Just slightly. Just enough that I saw what his mother had been talking about. The man underneath the monster. Maya, he said. My name sounded different in his mouth. Careful. Precious. I'm sorry. This isn't how tonight was supposed to go. It's okay, I heard myself say. Your mother has been lovely. She's been interfering. But he sat down, and I noticed his hands were shaking. Just a little. Yama, we'll discuss this later. Please. Mrs. Kang stood, gathering her handbag. I'll leave you two alone. Maya, it was wonderful to meet you. Jinhyun, don't mess this up. She kissed his cheek, squeezed my hand, and glided away with her bodyguards. And then it was just us. Silence stretched between us. I stared at my plate. He stared at me. So, I finally said, import-export. A surprised laugh escaped him. Actual genuine laughter. And the sound transformed his entire face. You know. Your mother may have mentioned some things. About empires. And shadows. And situations involving guns. He rubbed his face with both hands. I'm going to kill her. Please don't. She ordered really good wine. Another laugh. He was looking at me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. You're not running. Should I be? Most people do. When they find out. I thought about everything Mrs. Kang had told me. About the stray dog. About the trafficking victims. About the man who loved with intensity most people never experienced. I'm still here, I said quietly. Something in his eyes ignited. Maya-chan. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, giving me his complete attention. I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't know how to be anything else. My mother is right. I work in a world that most people pretend doesn't exist. I run an organization that operates outside the law. I have enemies who would love to hurt me by hurting anyone I care about. Dating me is dangerous. Being seen with me is dangerous. And I should send you home right now for your own safety. My mouth went dry. But, I whispered. But I've been thinking about this date for a week straight. Your grandmother showed my mother your picture, and I couldn't stop looking at it. The way you smiled like you weren't sure you should be smiling. The book in your hand, Middlemarch. The cat hair on your sweater. And I thought, she looks real. She looks like she sees the world with kind eyes. He reached across the table, stopping just short of touching my hand. I want to know you, Maya. I want to take you to bookstores and coffee shops and quiet places where nobody knows my name. I want to hear about your favorite novels, and why you chose to work with books instead of people. I want to know what makes you laugh and what keeps you up at night. And I know I have no right to want any of that, but I can't help it. I couldn't breathe. I'm scared, I admitted. You should be. I'm terrifying. Your mother says you read a lot. He blinked at the subject change. Ah yes. What's your favorite book? Why does that matter? Because I want to know if we can have a second date, and I can't date someone with bad taste in literature. His laugh was startled, delighted. The Count of Monte Cristo. Dumas. Revenge fantasy. Interesting choice. Says the woman who named her cat Mr. Darcy. I froze. How do you know about my cat? He had the grace to look sheepish. I may have also done some research. After I saw your picture. I know it's creepy, but in my defense, I needed to make sure you weren't a threat. A threat? I work at a bookstore. You'd be surprised what people use as covers. We talked through 6 more courses. He told me about growing up in 2 worlds. The legitimate business his father ran publicly, and the shadow empire he ran in private. About being 8 years old, and realizing his father wasn't just a businessman, he was something much more complicated. I told him about losing my parents young, being raised by my grandmother, finding solace in books because fictional problems had solutions and fictional people couldn't leave you. Is that why you're shy? He asked. Because you've been left before? No one had ever asked me that. No one had ever looked deep enough to ask. Maybe, I whispered. His hand finally covered mine. His palm was warm, calloused. Dangerous hands that held me like I was made of glass. I can't promise you normal, Maya. I can't promise you safe. But I can promise you this. I don't leave. Once I commit to something or someone, I'm all in. Completely. Irrevocably. It's probably unhealthy, honestly, but it's who I am. That sounds intense. It is. My mother wasn't exaggerating about that part. I turned my hand over, lacing our fingers together. His eyes widened slightly. I I said slowly, that I'm tired of safe. Safe got me a quiet life where nothing ever happens and nobody ever stays. Maybe I want intense. Just start slow. Slow. I can do slow. He smiled, and it was devastating. How slow are we talking? Maybe start by finishing this date? And then maybe, if you promise not to have any more situations involving guns, we could try a second date. I can't promise no situations, but I can promise they won't involve you. That's not particularly reassuring. It's the best I can offer. I studied him, really studied him. The sharp intelligence in his eyes. The way he held himself like he was ready for a fight at any second. The gentleness with which he held my hand despite all that coiled violence. Your mother told me about the dog, I said. His expression shuddered. She what? The stray you saved when you were 7. The one that bit you 3 times. I'm going to actually kill her this time. She said you're still that person. The one who saves broken things. He was very still. Maya, I'm not broken, I said quickly. But I am scared. And maybe a little lonely. And completely out of my depth. But I'm still here. Why? Because you were late to our date and sent your mother instead. And that's either the worst judgment in the world or you were genuinely worried about disappointing me. And because you read Dumas and you looked at my picture and saw the cat hair. And because I stopped, suddenly brave. Because when you walked in here tonight, you looked at your mother with murder in your eyes. And then you looked at me and your hands shook. He stared at me. They're shaking now, I whispered. Jinhyun lifted our joined hands and pressed his lips to my knuckles. His hands were definitely shaking. I was in a warehouse tonight, he said quietly, handling a territorial dispute that almost turned into a bloodbath. I had a gun pointed at my head at one point. And I wasn't scared. I'm never scared during those things anymore. It's just Tuesday. He looked at me. But driving here? Knowing I was late, knowing you were probably going to leave, knowing I was about to meet someone who might actually matter? I almost turned the car around 4 times. My second in command asked if I was having a heart attack. What did you tell him? That I was fine. Which was a lie. Because the truth is, Maya, you terrify me. The possibility of you terrifies me. Because I've built my entire life around control, and this, he gestured between us, this is the opposite of control. We could stop, I offered, even though the thought made my chest ache. Before it gets complicated. It's already complicated. It was complicated the moment my mother showed me your picture, and I couldn't stop thinking about the way you smiled. He stood up, pulling me gently to my feet. Come on. Where are we going? We haven't finished dinner. We're going somewhere more honest than this restaurant. Somewhere I can prove to you that I'm not just the monster in the expensive suit. He led me outside, where a black Mercedes waited. His bodyguards appeared from somewhere, but he waved them back. Where are you taking me? I asked as he opened the door for me. Henderson's Books. Your bookstore. It's Sunday tomorrow. You're closed, right? I nodded, bewildered. Good. I'm going to show you something. 20 minutes later, we were standing outside my darkened bookstore. I unlocked the door, confused, and Jinhyun followed me inside. He looked around at the stacks of books, the worn armchairs, the reading nook in the corner. And he smiled, really smiled, unguarded and genuine. This is where you feel safe, he said. It wasn't a question. Yes. He walked to the fiction section, running his fingers along the spines, and pulled out a book. The Count of Monte Cristo. I lied earlier, he said. This isn't my favorite book. It's my father's. He gave it to me when I was 15, right before he died. Said I'd need to understand revenge to survive in our world. He put it back, moved to another section. Classic literature. Pulled out Middlemarch. This is my favorite. I've read it 6 times. Every time I need to remember that people are complicated and everyone deserves understanding. Even when they make terrible choices. Even when they hurt the people they love. He turned to me. I brought you here because I wanted you to see that I'm not just what I do for a living. I'm also the guy who reads George Eliot and cries at the ending every single time. I'm the guy who spends his Saturday mornings in bookstores instead of counting money or planning operations. I'm the guy who wants to know you in quiet moments, not just dramatic ones. I couldn't speak. He stepped closer. So here's what I'm offering, Maya-chan. I'm offering you honesty. I'm offering you complexity. I'm offering you a man who lives in shadows but wants to stand in the light with you. And I'm offering you time. All the time you need to decide if that's something you want. And if I say yes, then we take it slow. Like you asked. We have normal dates. We talk about books. I meet your grandmother and pretend to be an import-export. And somewhere along the way, maybe you'll trust me enough to let me show you the rest of my world. The dangerous parts. The complicated parts. All of it. I reached up and touched his face. He went absolutely still. Your mother said you love with intensity. She wasn't wrong. That sounds exhausting. It is. I'm a shy bookstore clerk who doesn't like excitement. I know. This is a terrible idea. Probably the worst I've ever had. I kissed him. He made a sound low in his throat and pulled me closer, one hand cradling the back of my head like I was precious, irreplaceable. The kiss was gentle and desperate and intense and careful all at once. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. So, he said, voice rough. Second date. I laughed. Actually laughed. Yeah. Second date. But maybe somewhere less dramatic than a warehouse situation or your mother's interrogation. I know a good coffee shop. Very boring. Absolutely no criminal activity. Perfect. He kissed my forehead. I should take you home. It's late and I have a situation to finish handling. The territorial dispute? Don't worry about it. Jinhyun. Maya. He smiled. I'm going to walk you to your car. I'm going to make sure you get home safe. And then I'm going to spend the rest of the night thinking about how you taste like wine and courage. Is that okay? I nodded, dazed. As we walked to my car, I realized something. My grandmother had set me up with the Korean Mafia. His mother had vetted me over wine that cost more than my rent. And I'd just kissed a man who could probably kill someone with his bare hands. And somehow, impossibly, I was already falling for him. When I got home, there was a text waiting. Thank you for staying. For seeing me. For being brave. Ji. I texted back. Thank you for being late. For sending your mother. For showing me Middlemarch. His response was immediate. Coffee tomorrow? I'll be on time. I promise. I smiled at my phone, sitting on my couch with Mr. Darcy purring in my lap. What do you think? I asked my cat. Is this insane? Mr. Darcy just purred louder. Yeah, it was absolutely insane. But I couldn't wait for that coffee date. I didn't sleep. How could I? My brain was doing Olympic-level gymnastics trying to process the last 6 hours of my life. I'd gone on a blind date with a crime boss. His mother had vetted me over wine that cost more than my car. I'd kissed him in a bookstore surrounded by the ghosts of George Eliot and Alexander Dumas. And now I was lying in bed at 3 a.m., staring at my ceiling, while Mr. Darcy judged me from his perch on my dresser. Don't look at me like that, I told him. I know this is insane. He meowed. It sounded a lot like, I told you so. My phone buzzed. Again. I grabbed it, heart hammering. Jinhyun. Are you awake? Me, yes. Can't sleep. Jinhyun. Neither can I. I keep thinking about how you tasted like wine and courage. Me. That's very poetic for someone who handles situations involving guns. Jinhyun. I contain multitudes. Walt Whitman. You'd like him. Me. I know who Walt Whitman is. I work at a bookstore. Jinhyun. I know. I find it incredibly attractive. I sat up in bed, pulling my knees to my chest, grinning at my phone like a teenager. Me. You promised me coffee. What time? Jinhyun. Is 9 a.m. too early? I'd say 6, but I'm trying to be normal. Me. 9 is perfect. Where? Jinhyun. There's a place in Fremont. Very low-key. No bodyguards. Just me, you, and mediocre coffee. Me. You had me at mediocre. Jinhyun. Maya? Me, yes. Jinhyun. Thank you for not running. Most people run. I thought about that for a long moment. About his mother's stories. About the stray dog. About the way he'd looked at me like I was something precious and breakable and worth protecting. Me, I'm still scared. Jinhyun. Good. Fear means you're smart. I'd be worried if you weren't scared. Me. But I'm not running. Jinhyun. That makes you either very brave or very foolish. Me, maybe both. Jinhyun. I'll take it. Sleep well, Maya-chan. Dream of better men than me. Me. What if I don't want to? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Jinhyun. Then I'm in trouble. Because I'm going to fall for you. And that's dangerous for everyone involved. Me. Maybe I want dangerous. Jinhyun. Liar. You want safe. But I'll try to give you both. I fell asleep smiling, phone clutched to my chest, Mr. Darcy purring next to me. And for the first time in years, I didn't dream about being alone. The coffee shop was perfect. Tucked away in Fremont, small, unpretentious, with mismatched furniture and a chalkboard menu that someone had clearly drawn by hand. The kind of place where nobody cared who you were, just whether you wanted oat milk or almond. I got there at 8:55 a.m., because I'm chronically early and also because I wanted 5 minutes to panic in private. He got there at 8:56 a.m. I watched him through the window as he parked. Not the Mercedes, but a normal, completely unremarkable Toyota. He was wearing jeans. And a simple black Henley that should have been casual, but somehow made him look like he'd walked off a magazine cover. He saw me through the window and smiled. That smile should be illegal. He walked in and I noticed something immediately. No bodyguards. No arpieces. No shadowy figures lurking in corners. Just him. Hi, he said, sliding into the booth across from me. Hi, I said back, suddenly shy again. You look beautiful. I glanced down at my outfit. Just jeans and a cream sweater, my hair in a messy bun. I look like I just rolled out of bed. I know. It's perfect. He leaned forward. I spent 2 hours getting ready. Changed 4 times. My second-in-command thought I was having an identity crisis. You changed 4 times? I wanted to look normal. Approachable. Not like someone who, he trailed off, runs a criminal empire? I was going to say scares people, but yeah, that too. The barista came over, a college kid with purple hair and several facial piercings. What can I get you? Jinhyun ordered a black coffee. I ordered a latte. When the barista left, I studied him. Really studied him. In natural light, without the atmospheric restaurant lighting, I could see details I'd missed. A small scar above his left eyebrow. Faint dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept either. Calluses on his knuckles. Ask, he said quietly. Ask what? Whatever you're thinking. I can see the questions all over your face. I took a breath. How many people have you killed? He didn't flinch. Didn't look away. Directly? 3. All in self-defense or defense of others. Indirectly? Through orders? I don't know. Maybe a dozen. Maybe more. I try not to give those orders unless there's absolutely no other choice. Do you lose sleep over it? Every single night. The honesty gutted me. The people the ones you gave orders about. Were they all bad? Define bad. He leaned back. One was a human trafficker. Another was dealing fentanyl to teenagers. The third was planning to bomb a restaurant to send a message to my organization. 40 innocent people would have died. Were they all bad? Yes. Did they deserve to die? I don't know. I'm not God. I'm just the person who made the call. Our coffee arrived. I wrapped my hands around my cup, needing the warmth. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Most guys on a second date talk about their favorite movies or where they went to college. Because if we're doing this, really doing this, you need to know who I am. What I am. I won't lie to you, Maya. Not ever. Even when the truth is ugly. We talked for 3 hours. He told me about growing up straddling 2 worlds, going to private school during the day, learning the family business at night. About his father's death when he was 23, a heart attack during a business meeting, that was definitely stress-induced. I wasn't ready, he said. Nobody thought I could do it. I was too young, too educated, too soft. They expected me to fail. But you didn't. No. I learned fast, made alliances, eliminated threats. And I changed things. He stirred his coffee, not drinking it. My father's organization was brutal, old school. I modernized it. Set rules. No drugs near schools. No sex trafficking, period. No civilian casualties. Anyone who breaks those rules answers to me. Does that make you the good guy? He laughed bitterly. No. It makes me a criminal with a conscience. Which, depending on who you ask, is either better or worse than having no conscience at all. I told him about my parents, killed in a car accident when I was 8. About my grandmother raising me alone. Working 3 jobs to keep me fed and clothed and in books. She'd die if she knew about you, I said. About what you really do. I know. That's why we'll tell her I'm an import-export until she absolutely needs to know otherwise. And when will that be? He met my eyes. Hopefully never. But realistically, probably when I put a ring on your finger, and she starts planning a wedding. I choked on my coffee. We've known each other for 12 hours. I know. But I also know that I've never felt like this before. Like I'd burn down the world to keep you safe. Like your smile is worth more than everything I've built. Like, he stopped, running a hand through his hair. Savi. Too much. Too intense. My mother warned me about this. About what? About how I love. When I commit completely. It's probably unhealthy. I should probably see a therapist about it. Do you see a therapist? Yes. Twice a week. Court mandated initially, after I took over and the FBI was investigating me. Now I just go because Dr. Kim is the only person I can talk to honestly about the guilt and the nightmares and the constant fear that I'm becoming my father. The vulnerability in his voice broke something open in my chest. I think, I said slowly, that you might be the most honest person I've ever met. That's only because I'm terrified of losing you before I even really have you. We were laughing about something. He'd just told me a story about his mother catching him reading romance novels when he was 16. When his phone rang, his expression changed instantly. From relaxed and happy to cold and alert. I need to take this, he said, already standing. I'm sorry. He walked outside. I watched through the window as he paced, phone pressed to his ear, his entire body language shifting into someone I didn't recognize. Someone hard. Dangerous. He was out there for 10 minutes. When he came back in, his jaw was clenched. I have to go, he said. Not a question. A statement. What happened? A situation. Nothing you need to worry about. Jinhyun. He looked at me, and I saw the war in his eyes. The desire to protect me versus the promise of honesty. Honesty won. One of my warehouses was just hit. Robbery attempt. My people are handling it, but I need to be there. Show strength. Make it clear this kind of thing doesn't happen without consequences. Consequences meaning I'm going to find out who did it, and I'm going to make them regret it. How permanently depends on how cooperative they are. The casual way he said it should have terrified me. It did terrify me. But I also understood. This was his world. This was the reality I'd signed up for by saying yes to coffee. Will you be safe? I asked. Something in his expression cracked. You're asking if I'll be safe? Not telling me this is too much. Not running out of here. I'm terrified, I admitted. But I'm also sitting here. And I'm asking if you'll be safe. He leaned down and kissed my forehead. I'm always safe. It's everyone else who should worry. That's not reassuring. It's the truth. He pulled out his wallet, left $100 bill on the table for 2 coffees that cost maybe $8 total. I'll call you when it's handled. Tonight. I promise. Jinhyun. He turned back. Come back in one piece. For you? Always. And then he was gone. The rest of Sunday was torture. I went home. Tried to read. Couldn't focus. Tried to organize my bookshelves. Gave up after 10 minutes. Tried to take a nap. Laid there staring at the ceiling. Sarah called at 2 p.m. Okay, you've been weird on text all day. What happened with the blind date? Was he awful? Do I need to come over with ice cream and murder plans? I almost laughed. Murder plans. If only she knew. He was not awful. Not awful. Maya, you've sent me 7 texts that are just strings of emojis. Either he was amazing or you've had a stroke. Which is it? He's complicated. Complicated how? Married? Emotionally unavailable? Republican? No, and I didn't ask. Then what's the problem? I thought about how to explain this. There was literally no way to explain this. He's just intense. And his job is complicated. And his mother sat in on part of our first date. I'm sorry, his mother? It's a long story. Maya-chun, you are the most boring person I know. Your idea of a wild Friday night is reorganizing your bookshelves by publication date. What the hell happened? I think I might be falling for him. Silence. Sarah. I'm sorry, I think I had a small stroke. You, Maya. I haven't been on a date in 2 years, Chun. Are falling for someone you met yesterday? I know it sounds insane. It sounds like a Hallmark movie. Or a true crime documentary. I can't decide which. Maybe both. Okay, you need to tell me everything. And I mean everything. I'm coming over. No. I said it too quickly. Too forcefully. Why not? Because if Jinhyun had enemies who knew about me, they might be watching my apartment. Because I didn't want to put Sarah in danger. Because my life had gotten complicated in ways I couldn't explain. Just give me a few days. Let me figure out what this is first. Maya, are you okay? Like actually okay? Yes. I promise. I'm just processing. If you need me, I'm here. You know that, right? I know. After we hung up, I realized something. I was lying to my best friend. I'd never lied to Sarah before. Not once in 8 years of friendship. This was what being with Jinhyun meant. Secrets. Lies. Protecting people by keeping them in the dark. Was I really ready for this? My phone rang at 9 p.m. Unknown number. I answered immediately. Hello. It's me. Jinhyun's voice, but wrong. Tight. Strained. Are you okay? I'm fine. It's handled. You don't sound fine. A long pause. Can I see you? Now. I know it's late. I know I have no right to ask. But I need to see you. To remember that there's something good in the world. My heart clenched. Where are you? Outside your building. I went to my window. Looked down. The Toyota was parked on the street. I could see him in the driver's seat, phone to his ear, looking up at my window. Come up, I said. 3rd floor, apartment 3C. Maya, I look like I'm not theirs, he stopped. I'm a mess right now. You don't want to see me like this. Come up anyway. 3 minutes later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it. He looked like he'd been through a war. His Henley had blood on it. Not his, I hoped. His knuckles were split and bruised. There was a cut above his eyebrow that had been hastily bandaged. And his eyes were haunted. Hi, he said quietly. Komein. He hesitated at the threshold. I shouldn't be here. I'm bringing my world into yours. You're already in my world. You have been since yesterday. Now get in here. He stepped inside, and I locked the door behind him. Mr. Darcy, who hated everyone, walked straight up to him and rubbed against his leg. Jinhyun looked down at my cat, surprised. He likes you, I said. I'm covered in blood. He's not judging. Neither am I. I led him to my bathroom. Sat him on the closed toilet lid. First aid kit. I asked. You don't have to. Where is it? He pointed to his jacket pocket. I pulled out a professional-grade trauma kit. Of course he carried one. I cleaned the cut above his eyebrow. He didn't flinch, even though I knew it had to hurt. Tell me what happened, I said quietly, dabbing antiseptic on his knuckles. The people who hit my warehouse were just kids. Teenagers. Stupid. Desperate. They thought they could steal from me and sell it for drug money. What did you do? I gave them a choice. Work for me, doing legitimate jobs at legitimate pay, or I turned them over to the police with enough evidence to put them away for years. I stopped looking at him. You gave them jobs? They're kids, Maya. 17, 18 years old. The system already failed them. I'm not going to fail them too. But you said there would be consequences. There are. They work for me now, which means they follow my rules. No drugs. No stealing. No violence. They step out of line, the deal's off. But if they stick with it, in a year they'll have real job skills, money saved, and maybe a chance at something better. I stared at this man, this supposed monster, who just offered second chances to kids who tried to rob him. Your mother was right about you, I whispered. What did she say? That you're still the boy who saved the broken dog. His eyes glistened. I'm not a good man, Maya. Maybe not. But you're a man who tries to be better. That counts for something. I finished bandaging his knuckles. Then, without thinking, I kissed each one. He made a sound, half sob, half laugh. You're going to ruin me, he said. Good. You need ruining. He pulled me into his lap, buried his face in my neck, and I felt his shoulders shake. He was crying. This dangerous man who'd built an empire, who made life or death decisions, who carried a gun and trauma kit. He was crying in my bathroom while my cat watched from the doorway. I held him, ran my fingers through his hair. Let him break. I'm so tired, he whispered against my skin. I'm so tired of being strong, of making impossible choices, of living in shadows. Then don't. Not here. Not with me. I don't know how to be anything else. Figure it out. We'll figure it out together. We sat like that for 20 minutes. Him holding me like I was a lifeline. Me holding him like he was breakable. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were red but clearer. Stay, I said. Tonight. Just sleep. I have a couch. I can't. If anyone followed me. Did anyone follow you? No. I made sure. Then stay. He stayed. I gave him clean clothes, sweatpants that were too short and a t-shirt that was too tight, but he wore them anyway. We sat on my couch, Mr. Darcy between us, and watched terrible reality TV because I needed something mindless and he needed to not think. I can't believe you watched this, he said, gesturing at the screen where someone was crying about a rose ceremony. It's comforting. Their problems are stupid and simple. Unlike ours. Unlike ours, I agreed. At midnight he started to fade. I could see exhaustion pulling at him. Sleep, I said. I'll get you a blanket. Maya. Yeah. Thank you. For not looking at me differently. After seeing this. He gestured to himself. I see you exactly the same. Maybe more clearly. He caught my hand as I stood. I'm falling for you. Fast and hard and completely. It probably won't end well. I'll probably hurt you just by being who I am. But I can't stop it. Then don't. You should run. I'm not a runner. You're a liar. You run from everything. Sarah told me. He stopped. I froze. Sarah? When did you talk to Sarah? He had the grace to look guilty. I may have done more research than I admitted. I needed to know if you were safe. If the people around you were safe. I'm sorry. I should have been angry. Violated. Terrified. Instead, I just felt understood. What else did you find out? That you haven't dated anyone in 2 years. That your last boyfriend cheated on you with your coworker. That you cried in the stockroom for 3 hours before quitting that job. That you've been hiding ever since. You had no right. I know. But I needed to understand why someone like you would say yes to someone like me. And now I know. You're not running toward me. You're running away from being hurt again. And I'm going to hurt you, Maya. Not on purpose. But my world will hurt you. I sat back down. You're trying to scare me away. I'm trying to be honest. Here's some honesty back. Yes, I've been hiding. Yes, I'm scared of being hurt. But you know what? I'm more scared of being alone forever. Of playing it safe until I'm 80 and realize I never really lived. So yeah, you'll probably hurt me. But at least I'll feel something. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Welcome to my life. He pulled me closer. Then let's make a deal. I'll try not to hurt you. You'll try not to run. And we'll both probably fail, but at least we'll fail together. That's the worst deal I've ever heard. It's the best I can offer. I kissed him. Slow and soft and sweet. Deal. I whispered against his lips. I woke up to sunlight and the smell of coffee. For a moment, I thought I'd dreamed it all. Then I heard movement in my kitchen. I found Jinhyun, wearing my 2 small sweatpants and t-shirt, making breakfast. Mr. Darcy was supervising from the counter. You're cooking, I said, stating the obvious. I'm attempting to cook. There's a difference. He gestured to the eggs that were definitely overdone, and the slightly burnt toast. I'm better at negotiating international arms deals than making breakfast. That's a concerning sentence. Welcome to dating me. I slid onto a bar stool, watching him work. This man, this dangerous, complicated, broken man, was making me breakfast in my tiny kitchen while my judgmental cat watched. Your grandmother called, he said casually. I choked. What? Your phone rang. The caller ID said Halmoni. I didn't answer, but I'm guessing she's wondering about the date. Oh God. What am I going to tell her? The truth. That I was a perfect gentleman. That my mother chaperoned. That we had a lovely time. That we're seeing each other again. That's actually not a lie. I'm good at those. Finding the truth in the lie. He plated the food. Terrible eggs, burnt toast, and somehow perfect coffee, and sat across from me. I have a meeting this afternoon, he said, with the heads of 3 other organizations. I'll be gone for a few hours. Is it dangerous? Potentially. But it's mostly posturing. Everyone's showing off. Very boring. You have a weird definition of boring. Compared to most of my life? It is boring. I pushed eggs around my plate. What happens now? With us. What do you want to happen? I don't know. I've never dated a. I trailed off. Criminal? Gangster? Morally ambiguous businessman? I was going to say someone who makes me feel like this. His expression softened. And how do I make you feel? Terrified. Alive. Safe and unsafe at the same time. Like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff, and part of me wants to jump. Please don't jump. What if you're there to catch me? Then jump. I'll catch you. Every single time. We finished breakfast. He washed dishes. I dried. Completely domestic and surreal. At the door, he pulled me close. Dinner tonight, he asked. Somewhere nice. Somewhere I can show you off properly. Won't that be dangerous? If people see us together? Let them see. Let them know you're mine. That's the best protection I can offer. Once they know you're under my protection, they won't dare touch you. That's not creepy at all. I know. But it's true. He kissed me goodbye. Long and thorough and devastating. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. Tonight, he promised. Tonight, I agreed. After he left, I called my grandmother back. My yaya. How was your date? Mrs. Kang's son, was he nice? He was interesting, Halmoni. Interesting good or interesting bad? I thought about everything. The warehouse. The blood. The tears. The terrible breakfast. Interesting good. Very good. Will you see him again? Tonight. And probably every day after that. Ego. My Maya is finally dating. I must call Mrs. Kang immediately. Halmoni, no. But she'd already hung up. I looked at Mr. Darcy, who was grooming himself on the couch. I'm dating a crime boss, I told him. His mother approves. My grandmother approves. This is my life now. Mr. Darcy purred. Yeah, this was definitely my life now. And honestly, I couldn't wait to see what happened next. The thing about dating Kang Jinhyun that nobody tells you. It's 90% completely normal and 10% absolutely insane. The normal parts, coffee dates, bookstore browsing, movie nights where he falls asleep on my couch, and Mr. Darcy uses him as a bed. Meeting his organization's families at barbecues where everyone pretends he runs a legitimate import-export business. The insane parts, bodyguards lurking at romantic dinners, learning to shoot a gun just in case. Finding out his mother has been planning our wedding since date 2. Realizing that business trip means something very different in his world. But here's what I learned. Jinhyun wasn't lying about how he loves. When he commits completely. He learned my coffee order. He reads every book I recommend. He shows up at my bookstore during lunch breaks just to see me for 10 minutes. He calls his mother weekly to discuss wedding plans I haven't agreed to yet. He also taught me self-defense. Installed a state-of-the-art security system in my apartment. Assigned a rotation of bodyguards to happen to be nearby whenever I'm out alone. It's suffocating and comforting all at once. Tonight we're at dinner. Somewhere fancy. Somewhere where people know his name and treat him like royalty. I have something for you, he says, sliding a small box across the table. My heart stops. Jinhyun, if that's a ring, I swear. It's not a ring. Open it. Inside is a key. That's to my apartment, he says. I want you to have it. I want you to have a place to go if things get complicated. If you need me and I'm not there. It's safe. Secure. Yours. This is moving fast. I know. Too fast. I look at this man who's given me everything. Honesty, protection, terrible breakfast, and a love so intense it sometimes scares me. No. I say, taking the key. Just fast enough. He smiles. That devastating smile that still makes my heart skip. My mother wants to know when she can start dress shopping. Tell her to slow down. I tried. She threatened to buy every wedding dress in Seattle just to be prepared. She wouldn't. She absolutely would. I laugh. Actually laugh. At the absurdity of my life. 3 months ago, I was a shy bookstore clerk with no prospects and a judgmental cat. Now I'm dating the Korean Mafia's most eligible bachelor. His mother is planning my wedding. And I have a key to a fortress disguised as a penthouse. I love you, he says suddenly. Seriously. We haven't said it yet. We've danced around it. Implied it. But never said it. I know it soon, he continues. I know it's intense. But I need you to know. I love you. Completely. Irrevocably. In the terrifying way my mother warned you about. The restaurant seems to hold its breath. I love you too, I whisper. Even though you're terrible at cooking breakfast. Even though your world is dangerous. Even though this is probably the worst decision I've ever made. Probably. Definitely. He stands. Walks around the table. Pulls me to my feet. And kisses me in the middle of the restaurant while everyone watches. When we break apart, I'm dizzy and happy and terrified and alive. Take me home, I say. Yours or mine? Ours. His smile could light up the entire city. Yeah. This is my life now. And I wouldn't change a single thing. And that's the story of how a shy bookstore clerk fell for the Korean Mafia's most dangerous man. All because he was late to their first date and sent his mother instead. If you love this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories. Until next time, stay safe, stay romantic, and remember, sometimes the most dangerous love stories have the happiest endings. Peace.